Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Atira binti Abdul Halim and I will be presenting about my final year project regarding the effect of different gas hourly space volume (GHSV) on methanol production plant, a consequence accident analysis. Global warming, mainly sourced from the human-induced emission of CO2, is one of the major environmental threats we are facing in the 21st century. In the past few decades, there has been growing scientific consensus to devise a strategy for CO2 capture, fixation, and recycling technologies to level off the atmospheric CO2 concentration. Nature has its own CO2 fixation process, which is extraordinarily selective in converting CO2 into organic compounds. However, natural chemical transformation of CO2 is not simply fast enough to cope with the increasing CO2 emission as a greenhouse gas of the industrialized world. Then, due to this greenhouse gas emissions issue, scientists have racked their brains, have performed many researches, many calculations, uh, many ways to come up with an idea of how to capture and utilize carbon dioxide in so that it will become to sustain the dioxide, which results in the existence of carbon capture and utilization (CCU). As a more attractive alternative, carbon capture and utilization (CCU) technologies have recently received a great deal of attention for turning captured CO2 as a renewable carbon feedstock into valuable products instead of permanently sequestering it. In fact, CCU treats captured CO2 as a renewable resource to complement or alternate the conventional petrochemical feedstocks. The long-term effects of sequestration are not a concern for this approach, despite the significant advantages offered by CCU in comparison to CCS. Converting CO2 and utilizing it in chemical reactions is very challenging, mainly because of the thermodynamically stable nature of CO2 itself. Um, Scientists also found a way to use the captured carbon dioxide in order to be used as raw material for the synthesis of many commercially useful chemicals and fuels such as methanol, formic acid, polyols for polyurethanes, carbonates, fuels like methane or kerosene, which brings to the main base of this study, of this research, is about the methanol conversion, methanol synthesis from CO2. CO2 is used as raw material that undergoes hydrogenation to produce methanol. CO2 is hydrogenated to methanol with the aid of catalysts such as copper, zinc oxide, and aluminium oxide, according to Vandal et al. 2013. Gas hourly space volume (GHSV) is defined as the volume flow rate per catalyst volume that has units of inverse hour. According to an article by Nakisa Yacobi, different gas hourly space volume (GHSV) can alter the quantity of methanol in this case, the conversion rate of material being experimented using the parameter of GHSV may increase with decreasing GHSV. This means that the bigger the GHSV, the lower the consumption rate, and if the GHSV is lower, the consumption rate is higher. So in the in this study, in this research, a large scale of operating parameters, pressure, temperature, GHSV, and molar ratio, can give out danger as risks are exposed uh, due to high value of these operating parameters. Uh, Inherent safety concept is applied throughout this study in the case of different pressure, GHSV, temperature, and molar ratio with different chemical quantity. Um, to perform and any alterations made to GHSV will also impact the safety of the plant according to the inherent safety concept. So this means that detailed assessment by consequence analysis (CA) in accordance to the inherent safety concept is done um, is done and can be classified in three procedures, which is number one, to identify and categorize the installation and system that must be assessed. Number two, identify the hazardous substance and accident scenarios. And number three, estimate the consequences scenario related to fatalities, or injuries and equipment or building damage. Consequence models are used to predict the effects of concentrated chemicals released in terms of toxicity, thermal radiation from the incident, and overpressure from explosion scenario. The main objectives of this study is to identify chemical components, mass, and volume in the mixture for different GHSV on methanol production. And the second objective is to quantify the safety of methanol plant using distance and area plot threat analysis for different GHSV. This research is conducted to analyze the impact from possible release of chemicals such as CO2, which is the carbon dioxide, H2, hydrogen gas, CH3OH, the methanol, CO, carbon monoxide, and H2O for water in three methanol plant reactors in Perak by applying different GHSV. The identification of the chemical components, mass, and volume in the mixture for different GHSV on methanol production, which is objective number one, will be simulated using HiC software, while for objective number two, which is the quantification of safety of methanol plant using distance and area plot threat analysis for different GHSV, is simulated using Aloha, Marplot, and Google Earth Pro software. The main aim for this the main the main focused section for this research is the methanol reactor section, as the consequence accident analysis is only focused on methanol production plant and is about methanol production plant, the safety of methanol production plant, which is why we will only focus on methanol reactor section for all three methanol production plants. And the leakage of the reactor will be used are 10 millimeter, 25 millimeter, and 160 millimeter. Uh, Apart from that, the consideration of day and night will be taken alongside the two dominant wind directions in Perak. The result of the consequent scenario outputs will be the distance and area plot threat zone. A study by the Trends in Atmospheric Carbon Dioxide has shown that the current carbon dioxide concentration as of 2020 has exceeded 412 ppm and has reached above 418 ppm ever since. This is a great opportunity to apply the carbon capture utilization CCU and use it as a raw material to produce methanol. This will indirectly save costs of um, raw materials of the original raw materials in order to produce methanol, and also we can sustain the environment by utilizing by fully utilizing carbon dioxide. um, the conversion of carbon dioxide to methanol exists and has been found in two methods, which is the first one is hydrogenation of CO2 as a one-step conversion, and second technique is the reverse water gas shift RWGS as a two-steps conversion. Um, and according to the Purple Book of Quantitative Risk Assessment by Gvarlik Stoffen 2005, um, the hazard found in the chemical elements, the chemical component in the mixture can be uh, can be divided uh, into um, individual component. For carbon dioxide, CO2, it has toxic character. It is identified that as a toxic gas, but it is not flammable. For hydrogen gas and methanol, it is identified as a highly reactive gas, a poisonous gas, and also flammable. While for carbon monoxide, it has toxic characteristics and is also flammable. The aim of this study is to identify the mass and volume of chemical component in the mixture of three methanol production plants at different gas hourly space volume (GHSV) that is simulated in HYSYS version 11. Apart from that, the study is also conducted to quantify the safety of the plants using distance and area plot threat analysis for unequal GHSV using Aloha, Marplot, and Google Earth Pro software. This study will also be carried out referring to the process condition of the reference plant by Perez Fortes et al. 2016 that studied about the potential impact of the production of methanol using CO2 as raw material. The plant is operated by capturing CO2 from the flue gas of a power plant as raw material, implementing post-combustion method. The process condition that will be observed is the effect of different GHSV to a safety of methanol plant. Plant 1 will be operated using a reactor volume of 42 meter cube and a GHSV of 10,000 inverse hour. Plant 2 will be studied using a reactor volume of 21 meter cube with 20,000 inverse hour of GHSV, while plant 3 will be observed using reactor volume of 84 meter cube with a GHSV of 5,000 inverse hour. The three methanol production plants are situated in Manjung, Perak, Malaysia, that is nearby a coal-fired electric power plant, the Sultan Azlan Shah Power Plant. This location is strategic as CO2 released from the process of coal combustion can be captured and supplied directly to the plant to be utilized as the raw material. Meanwhile, the weather condition in the area is evaluated according uh, to the weather condition around Sitiawan, which is an area nearby Manjung. The meteorological data consists of air temperature, humidity, wind viscosity, stability class, wind direction, as well as the period of the day of Sitiawan. To quantify the accident analysis, the consequence accident analysis in the case of fatalities scenario, uh, the number of people in the plant during day and night is calculated by interpolation. So after after interpolating, for a plant that produced 12,371 tons of methanol per day, there will be a number of 82 workers during the day and 74 workers during the night. Meanwhile, the number of people in the surrounding is obtained from the population in the plant area. Uh, after the searching for the number of population, it is found that there are 246,977 residents uh, that lives nearby the plant area. And apart from that, the chemical hazardous and consequence scenario are also determined. Um, the theory of the consequence scenario is determined as toxic and fire, as in the thermal radiation. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.